Hi guys, so very quick update. Volcano, earthquake, tsunami, nuclear war. That's the steps, that's the process I think that's going to be unfolding. So we've already got the volcano erupting, Kilauea. I've been saying it wrong for the last couple of videos. Kilauea is actually Kilauea, so my apologies for that. Has erupted and continues to erupt. There was a 6.9, well 5.3 magnitude earthquake followed by a 6.9 magnitude earthquake in connection with this volcano. Now there's fears that there could be a tsunami, which is the next scenario I've been looking for, and posted a video about that a few days ago, for the US West Coast, which again is the area I was thinking of. A tsunami coming from the volcano, or in relation to the volcano, for the West Coast, and then on the East Coast it's the submarines, and the tsunami is caused by nuclear detonation or nuclear detonations. On the East Coast, the erupting volcano has fractured a massive unstable landmass. So the situation in Hawaii is essentially the same situation at the Cumbre Vieja volcano, in which the scenario is landmass, a huge amount of landmass can basically fall into the ocean or crash into the ocean, obviously then generating massive series of waves, which we term as a tsunami. One interesting thing one of my subscribers posted, changed my name, I believe it was, posted something to me on Twitter and also on YouTube about a similar situation happening in relation to the Japanese tsunami, a volcano erupting, and then 5 days later, or roughly around that time, the tsunami came in 2011. And obviously, if this massive unstable landmass does break away and go into the ocean, then obviously that's the tsunami coming, and would be similar to what happened in Japan, although there wasn't any sort of landslide that caused a tsunami. It was basically what they call it, a mega thrust earthquake, where the earth is pushed up quite rapidly, pushing up the water above it. So that's pretty much what I wanted to bring to you in reference to this report here. We're looking out for a tsunami for the West Coast, California area. Obviously, they've had earthquakes over there as well recently. They were talking about the big one, the biggest earthquake they've had in a number of years, shaking the bald eagle's nest, symbol of America. America being shaken is what I took from that. So there's a lot to watch. May the 10th/11th is a possible interpretation for the tsunami event happening. If that does happen, then it would be even more likely that war between Israel, Iran, and the whole nuclear war situation would then escalate very quickly, seeing as America may be, partially incapacitated by a tsunami on the West Coast. So that's just interpretation. Don't know if it's going to happen, but I thought I just want to bring it to you regardless. Following the volcano, earthquake, tsunami theory, you've then got the war scenario following after that, with Israel saying it must keep Iran from Syria, even if it means a struggle. So we know that Benjamin Netanyahu is pushing for the Iran nuclear deal to be scrapped, remade, but that's not going to happen. At the same time, you've got North Korea and their denuclearization. What's interesting in relation to the catch a tiger by the tail reference that I posted the other day, North Korea is saying to the US or to Donald Trump directly that denuclearization pledge is not a result of US sanctions on North Korea, and that they are ruining the atmosphere basically around the negotiations. This to me, it reminds me of, when I think of things, I think of them in a kind of abstract way. So when I read this report, in my mind, I'm seeing Jurassic Park. Like when the first scene when the dinosaurs come in, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it's always like a pool of water that starts off with a little shake, and then as the dinosaur gets closer, the vibrations in the water become stronger, and that's how I associate with this report. It feels like this first little sign of discontent by North Korea saying that the denuclearization pledge is not a result of US sanctions is like the first ripples in the water. And as the days go on, that those ripples may get bigger. And obviously, as I've said, I don't think it's a good idea to go to the DMZ to meet with Kim Jong-un, not after the years of discontent between the two countries. You can't just wipe away those kind of feelings overnight. It will take a long time to get rid of that the negative impact that the Korean War has had on the Korean Peninsula and the relationship between North Korea, South Korea, North Korea, the USA and China. It's all a big mess, and it just can't get sorted out overnight. So the fact that a lot of people who support Donald Trump are, going behind like, yeah, this is good, this is good, this is good. I think they're just trying to, one, because the administration is under intense pressure. Obviously, it would be maybe seen as a way of, relieving some of that pressure, giving something good to look at. But that is a danger at the same time, because obviously, Kim Jong-un is not stupid. He's aware of all the things that are going on in relation to Donald Trump and the American administration. And to take advantage of that would be, if you, for example, would say, oh yeah, we're going to denuclearize, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, everyone becomes happy and, supports Donald Trump, and then all of a sudden, maybe something Donald Trump says or does, or something one of the people from his administration says or does, causes this whole thing to be reversed. The backlash is going to be severe, because it's like, oh, we're so close to peace and then it's just snatched away. People are going to be really, really angry about that. And that could be one of the ways that, or one of the games that Kim Jong-un is playing here. But obviously, I think that everything's going to kind of happen around the same time, because everything is happening around the same time. You've got the tensions between Israel and Iran, Russia backing them up, the USA backing up Israel, the volcano going off, the massive landmass being fractured, getting ready to create a massive tsunami on the west coast. You've got the stories of the Russian submarines approaching the east coast undetected. You've got the Satan II missile. You've got the nuclear drone. You've got in India and their Indra war games that they had with Russia, so they'll be involved. There's a lot of pieces that are moving, and they're all moving into place, and that doesn't even bring into consideration the other medias that we've had to look at and analyze, like iPad Goat 2, like the Google Doodle, various different movies and TV shows like The Simpsons. There's far too many references, but they all seem to be indicating a very similar timeline, not a timeline, a very similar scenario, which is tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes, possibly an asteroid, which is actually what I'm going to go to next. It was supposed to be last, but I'll skip to it now. NASA says that a huge asteroid will be due to skim past the Earth hours before the royal wedding on May the 18th. The royal wedding is on May the 19th. Obviously, when I say May the 18th, I'm thinking, oh, it's an exact month after April the 18th, the one of the biggest watch days that I was looking out for. Could it be that a month later, this is when it all happens? I really don't know, but I wanted to bring the report because, reports of asteroids don't fly by every day, or don't come up every day, even though asteroids and probably do fly by every day. If you believe in that stuff, I'm not getting into that. But experts at NASA have revealed they are keeping tabs on a huge asteroid which is due to skim past Earth hours before the royal wedding. The giant space rock, which has been named JPL-8, is expected to pass near our planet in the early hours of May 18th. And obviously, I don't know the trajectory of this asteroid. I can only go by what NASA are saying, and obviously NASA are an organization that can't be trusted, so you really don't know what to think. Definitely keep an eye out for any sort of, it's the size of a football pitch, so definitely keep an eye out for any, reports of an asteroid coming into Earth. But even if it doesn't hit the Earth, I believe it's a sign that we're being shown again. And this is coming up just before the royal wedding. And obviously I talked about the royal wedding and how that could be the same day that Donald Trump chooses to meet Kim Jong-un. Donald Trump isn't invited to the wedding, neither is Barack Obama, and various other people. They've kind of gone a different way in relation to the guests that they've invited to this wedding. But it could be that Donald Trump feels spurred by that, maybe, I don't know, and could decide that, the royal wedding is going to be something that people want to watch, but also if Donald Trump is going to meet Kim Jong-un, then that's going to be something people are going to watch. You're going to be kind of drawn between two major events going on if they go on the same day. Probably not, but again, it's a possibility, and that's what I deal with, so I present those possibilities, and we'll see what happens. But definitely, I think a sign, May the 18th, asteroid flying by a day before the wedding, or even just a couple of hours before the wedding, so something to watch for. And the last thing is in relation to still following the whole scenario chain, volcano, earthquake, tsunami, war. We're dealing with the war part of it for the last, half of this video. But the US is ready in emergency plan scenario 1 amid fears of a nuclear attack. Um, Emergency disaster plans or planners have well-rehearsed and instantly deployable. Sorry, let me start again. Emergency disaster planners have a well-rehearsed and instantly deployable operation for if the US is hit by a nuclear bomb. Washington, New York, Los Angeles were all proposed as prime targets for a strike. US military forces would be deployed to the city to conduct major search and rescue operations. At least 3,000 square miles would have to be quarantined, mass evacuations deployed, and predictions of recession. Daily Star Online can reveal the US chilling national response scenario 1 designed to combat a nuke strike. So and you can see like underground bunkers. They made it so lavish. They want to live lavishly. It's not just about survival, it's about comfort. So US officials have drawn up their nuke plans based on a nuclear bomb with a power of 10,000 tons of TNT. Predictions were sketched out based on a device being detonated within Washington by terrorists rather than a nuclear strike in World War III. And obviously that reminds me of a documentary I've seen where they were talking about a nuclear bomb, a 10 megaton nuclear bomb going off in Washington. And that reminds me of the iPad Got video with the scene of the Antichrist coming up and the smoke erasing all those business people. Whether they're business people or politicians, can't really tell. They're just suits and briefcases. Both professions have those things, so not too sure. The possible scenario for a nuclear attack was deemed to be an improvised bomb driving into the city centre in a delivery van, exploding and levelling part of central DC. The bomb would kill hundreds of thousands, according to the Department of Homeland Security, and a plume of fallout would blossom out from the city, potentially being felt as far as 150 miles away. Detonation of the nuclear bomb would also trigger an electromagnetic pulse, another scenario we've looked at, that could knock out communications and further hamper rescues. The high voltage spike would trigger problems from around 3 miles around the blast, with power grids, mobile phone towers, and switching stations vulnerable. Emergency first responders are predicted to receive lethal doses of radiation, and first responders' value will have to be considered on whether they will be sent into the danger zone, potentially leaving people abandoned near the nuke's ground zero. US officials also produced a handy table precisely detailing the numbers and types of injuries expected during the blast. Radiation, poisoning, flash blindness, burns to eyes, and blunt trauma are all predicted for survivors in the thousands. Even the size of the crater has been calculated, potentially being 64 feet deep with a diameter of 150 feet deep. Warnings are also made. That doesn't make sense. Warnings have also been made about the significant psychological impact on survivors that may impact rescuers. Damage to buildings and infrastructure is deemed to cost billions of dollars. So I'll just stop there. It's pretty much clear that we know that they've obviously prepared for this event. It's something that you would do as a government if you're running a country. You prepare for eventualities or possibilities. But the fact that this report is coming out now in the time where we're looking at the potential for Iran to attack Israel or Israel to attack Iran and for it to escalate from there, involving the Allies and then attacks on the USA, UK and other places around the world. It's not coincidental. It's all happening. It's all happening right now. So May the 10th, May the 11th, cautionary warning looking out for a tsunami, especially since we're just getting these reports of this massive landmass becoming unstable due to the volcano and the earthquakes that have been taking place there. Again, that could be what results in a tsunami for the West Coast, a scenario that we have looked at, and we'll see we'll see exactly what happens. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. So yeah, we'll see exactly what happens, and then we've got the potential for the other things to be happening. North Korea, Israel, Iran, China, Russia, USA, France, United Kingdom, everyone getting involved in this war that's potentially due to happen. Found the train of thought. So yeah, May 10th, sorry about that. May 10th/11th, we're looking out for a possible tsunami. May 14th/15th, we're looking out for the possible attack coming from Iran or Israel, depending on whether it's a preventive strike from Israel or whether it's a retaliatory strike from Iran. You guys, that's the end of my video. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and God bless.